Hey, it's Sam with a quick forecast for the upcoming week. On Monday, the moon is in Scorpio, in the nakshatra of Jyeshta. Scorpio is opposite Taurus, so Taurus is where we have a lot of solid foundations and attachments and commitments in life, like our family and our money and our sort of domestic comforts. And Scorpio is opposite that, where we sense that we're going to lose all of that, where we don't have control over that or the people, and we tend to worry. Kind of imagined fears creep into our mind with Scorpio. So Monday could have that quality of, you know, a lot of imagined fear and stress and worry about the things that you have. Scorpio is where we realize we have no control. So the more you're willing to live without control, the less messed up you'll be about the Scorpio area of life. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, the moon is in Sagittarius, and early Wednesday we have the new moon in Purva Ashada Nakshatra. So the new moon is a time where sun and moon come together and begins a new cycle. Now, Wednesday is also January 1st, so it's also the beginning of the new year, 2014. So, you know, typically, we don't see these celestial beginnings correlate with the Gregorian calendar beginning. And so it's interesting when that happens. Just to explain what I mean, you know, I actually really follow the celestial clock, the celestial rhythm of sun and moon cycles and planetary cycles. These are things, you know, that really shape events, not calendar years, because the Gregorian calendar has nothing to do with the sky, which is what we're living under. So it's interesting when these things do line up. And so, because January 1st is a time of new beginning, a time of reevaluating and all of that stuff, it's good, it's really excellent to be doing it on a time when sun and moon come together and initiates that cycle, especially the cycle of Sagittarius, which is really about evaluating the sense of direction in our life. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It's the masculine quality of Jupiter, which is about the direction of our life. Sagittarius, you know, its symbol is an arrow, or, you know, a bow that shoots the arrow, Danu in Sanskrit. So it's really about about the animal becoming man, transforming the animal fears of Scorpio into a more hopeful and inspired concept, which is very much the animal becoming the man, and then transforming that animal concept, or I'm sorry, that human concept, which also has to do with things like law and truth and order, into something that's even higher than that, which is the man becoming the God. So it's really how our fears become transformed into the human, who has a more hopeful option and has more options than the fearful animal, who's afraid of losing things, and then transforming that man-made belief system into something higher, which even has to do with God and our highest salvation. So this is the motivation of Sagittarius. And so this is a 30-day cycle that's beginning on January 1st. I'll talk more about the new moon in a few days, you know, before it happens. And then on Thursday, Friday, the moon goes into Capricorn, and then Saturday, Sunday in Aquarius. So, you know, after Wednesday and the new moon, then the moon goes into these Saturn-ruled signs. And, you know, this last part of the zodiac has Jupiter-ruled Sagittarius, then Capricorn ruled by Saturn, Aquarius ruled by Saturn, and then Pisces ruled by Jupiter. So it's just Jupiter and Saturn ruled signs in this last section of the zodiac, which really has to do with, as I say, transforming that animal stress and fear into higher metaphysical reality eventually. Because then it takes that belief of Sagittarius and eventually becomes this mysticism of Pisces. So we'll get into that early next week, but you know, this week we'll see that transformation from the stresses and fears and worries of Scorpio, where we're trying to stabilize our emotional restlessness and make peace with those things we can't control. Because we can't control others. We can't control even our money and all of these things. We're going to lose these things of the world, and we're aware of that, and it becomes very painful in Scorpio. But the salvation comes in Sagittarius, where we look for an answer, look for higher meaning, higher purpose. And those themes will be important, as I say, Tuesday, Wednesday with the new moon, and throughout the month because it's the new moon cycle. And then as the moon goes into Saturn-ruled signs, we're compelled more to put it into practice. So on Thursday, Friday, moon in Capricorn is really about taking that hope of Sagittarius and putting it into practice. Practical methods, the willingness to be alone, to be practical and realistic about what's going on, about time, about what we can accomplish with each day and not waste time, and not just be in some big, sort of emotional high because we believe in something, but actually not put it into practice. And then Aquarius is more about universalizing that energy. The other real important, a few other really important energies this week is the moon is going to cross this retrograde Venus. Venus turned retrograde last week, and it's really about reversing a lot of our perceptions as it has to do with relationships and others, valuing others, respecting others, how they respect us. And so the moon is going to cross retrograde Venus Wednesday and Thursday. They'll be crossing. And, Venus is about to go retrograde back into Sagittarius, which I talked about at length a few times already, sort of bringing a little bit of stress between our momentary desires and pleasures and people, which is Venus, and our higher philosophical, purposes and, life course and life direction, which is Jupiter. So Jupiter, Venus aspecting each other, and Venus and Jupiter sign is going to bring a more sort of idealistic and religious, you may say, quality to Venus. It can be very devotional, especially if you already have a strong belief system. This time next week, as Venus goes back into Sagittarius, it can be a very devotional time. But a few other things that are important: when the moon goes into Sagittarius on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's going to be getting an aspect from Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. So a lot of aspects on the moon, especially on Wednesday, as the moon gets into the later degrees of Sagittarius after the new moon. So one of the things that's very powerful about the new moon, which happens around 16 degrees, almost 17 degrees, is Saturn is going to be aspecting like 26 degrees Libra, Jupiter's aspecting 21 degrees Libra, and Mars is aspecting 17 degrees, Sagittarius. Saturn's aspecting 26 Sagittarius, Jupiter's aspecting 21 Sagittarius, and Mars is aspecting 17, 18 Sagittarius. So that's a lot of energy on the moon as it goes through Sagittarius, bringing together Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars energy, which is about commitment and determination, Saturn, enthusiasm, courage, and passion, which is Mars, and Jupiter, which is the highest principle and highest ideals. And when you look up in the sky now, Jupiter is retrograde, big and bright in the sky. So this whole new moon in Sagittarius and this Sagittarius cycle is going to be, happening under the, sort of providence of this retrograde Jupiter, which is very bright in the sky, and it's aspecting the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and bringing a lot of potential for, higher purpose, higher wisdom, higher meaning. It's actually about belief and what you believe in. Sometimes astrologers, they get really lazy with words and say, oh, Jupiter's really spiritual and spirituality. All the planets are spiritual. Jupiter is the religious part of spirituality, like Mars is the disciplined part of spirituality. Saturn is the commitment of spirituality. Venus is the joy and beauty of spirituality. Mercury is the curiosity of spirituality, or how it works. So spirituality, everything is spiritual, but Jupiter is the religious part. And most people say I'm not religious, but but we are religious if we believe in something. It's just what you believe in. So, and but what does that give you? That gives you a sense of hope, a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. So big Jupiter themes this week with the new moon in Sagittarius, Jupiter aspecting and whatnot. So anyway, have a good week. I hope this helped you. Leave me some comments. Let me know how things are going with you.